Hi, my name is Mike and I own Mike's Carburetor Parts. You can find parts for this carburetor and most other carburetors at www.mikescarburetor.com, or simply Google Mike's Carburetor Parts and I should come up at the top. We're working on a series here of videos for a Rochester 2G, commonly known as the 2-jet. This is a 2-barrel Rochester carburetor. And in the previous video we put together the float bowl, went through some introduction steps, and we're getting ready to put the top together, the top of the float bowl where the needle and seat goes and the float. And I want to talk about this first, your stem. I'm not sure what the proper name of it is, but at any rate, this needs to be real free. Now you can take these out. I generally don't unless they're really gummed up. Of course, I have ultrasonic cleaning that'll clean inside there. The problem with taking these out, you start reefing on this, these break real easy and you can't buy them. So you want to be real careful. They're just kind of, you'll see when you look at yours, the middle is peened over a little bit, so you have to kind of grind around it and work on it to be able to pull the thing out. If you do, great. Wire brush it in there, clean it up. And what I do is I'll spray it with silicone spray lubricant, and you can see it came out at this hole and it came out the top. There's a little vent hole right in here. And as I explained before, this is vacuum operated. It's held up by vacuum, but at higher speeds, when your engine naturally loses vacuum, it tends to fall down and presses down on your power piston here and opens it up, allowing more fuel in. So, since it's just vacuum, well, the spring does try to hold it open, but it's real important that these aren't sticky. And when I get them there, a lot of times they are. So anyway, just make sure it's nice and free. If you have to take it out, take it out. Just be careful. Alright, so we're going to put the needle and seat in. This needle and seat comes with two different gaskets, a thinner and a thicker one. And that simply is you always start with a thin one. And if the float level is way too low, then maybe it needs a thicker one. And might call that the pre-adjustment that they do. I think they do it just to cover more carburetors. Kits over the years have really consolidated. And I remember the old days, used to buy a Carter kit for just about in every year of vehicle out there. Yeah, of course they came with jets and all that kind of thing that was particular to a certain vehicle. And through the years they've consolidated, and they don't put in new jets generally and stuff like that are, otherwise they have to put a lot of jets in the package. Nobody would buy them. Okay, so always spray this good, make sure there's nothing left in there. Put the needle in there. Actually I don't. I got this little clip put on it. This clip clips on the needle, and then you put it on the float. There's a little hole right here, and so what this does, when the float drops, now remember we have the carburetor upside down, when it drops it helps pull the needle out of the hole, thus allowing fuel in. That way if you get kind of a sticky needle, this kind of facilitates it to open. Okay, put that in there. Oops, I forgot one thing. We've got to put the gasket on here. Okay, so this kit came with two gaskets. And of course you want the right one on there, and I simply try it. You don't want any, you want the holes, none of the holes to be covered. Obviously this is the wrong one because it's open right there. So I can discard that one and try the other one. Again, just check and make sure your holes aren't getting covered. As you can see, the little holes here, hole over here is opened, and these 2Gs aren't too hard. They usually have 2 or 3 extra gaskets in them. Okay, so we got the gasket on there. float and a pin. Now, look how low that float is. So that tells me I probably need to use the thicker gasket. The float should be closer to level as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it back out. And I guess that was a good way to illustrate the different sizes. So we'll try the thicker one, that don't make it worse. That's a brand new float, and typically new floats come pretty close, but usually you never know. Okay, let's see how that looks. See if that don't help it a little. Okay, so you can see that's much better. Still, to me, looks like it's probably off, but that's a much better fit, so we're going to use a thicker gasket. So that illustrates the difference in the two gaskets. Okay, so we're going to measure the float level, and your data sheet here, you got to pick out the vehicle that it goes on, and there is a float setup procedure number here. There's a 1 and a 2, and then the float level, and inside there is a procedure number 1, procedure number 2, and this if it told you to use 1, you do it this way, 2, you do it this way. Now, ours is 2, so we're going to measure from the top of the gasket up to the bottom of the lip here, the seam. And this one, I believe, was a 1/2 inch for this particular vehicle. I think this was an Oldsmobile. And let's see, I don't think it matters. Yeah, right up on the front, of it. So you measure from the gasket up, and on this one's a 1/2 inch, and it is a, excuse me, a little bit too high according to the specs. Let me look at that, because it doesn't look quite right to me. Oh, excuse me, 3/4, not a 1/2. Okay, I thought that didn't look right. Floats almost, in general, almost look level when they're adjusted right. And this one here is could go up just a tad bit. Now, you don't want to put pressure on the needle, because you could, there's a little Teflon covering at the point, and you can easily damage that if you put pressure on it. So let's see, to adjust this, this one here, we just have to adjust it right here. Now, I don't have to take it off, because I'm not going to put pressure on the needle. I'm just going to hold it so I don't. Just bend the float a little bit, and we'll see if we can get our 3/4 of an inch in. Yeah, and it looks pretty darn good right there. Okay, and as you can see, the float is basically level. That's the way they usually end up, close to it. All else fails, make them level. Why does this gasket not look right here? I'm going to have to check this gasket out. I don't think that's fitting right. Did I have a third one here? I'm sure I got the right kit. Something's not kosher. I'm going to take it apart here. That's no big deal. I'll just turn the video off and do some research on this. But anyway, so that's it. We're ready to put the two halves together, which I'll do in the next video. But that's basically setting the float, and that's probably the most important part, other than the cleaning. Cleaning and setting the float, you know, is my priorities. So that's it. We're going to stop the video here, and I'll get ready for the next one. Thank you for watching.